Hello there, Sarah from 17 once again. This is my Witcher 2 Dark Mode difficulty video walkthrough. Right then, just then, you saw the options you have to press to lure this succubus out of her lair, and it's a very specific series of instructions that if you don't do correctly, you'll fail. And every time I see Dandelion now, I can't help but think of Jimmy from South Park, Stick of Truth, because that game was so great, man. I loved that game. But now that we've done this, we can now see where she is. She's over there in the hatch. And controlling Dandelion, we get to go down into the hole, which Geralt is not too pleased about, because we're going into the lair of a succubus that, for all we know, wants to kill us. Because if you don't know too much about succubuses in traditional mythology, it's essentially a female demon who lures men into sleeping with her, and then she kills them. I'm not too sure if she's a dream spirit. There's quite a lot of different mythos for those, and the male equivalent is the incubus. So there you go. A nice little bit of folklore getting dropped on you. And now we're back as Geralt, and now we get to see what's happening. So there's a couple of interesting outcomes to this mission, depending on which you choose. And because I'm the chauvinistic, womanizing Geralt of Rivia, oh, here we go. As you can see, she's on this game, she has the legs of a ram and the horns of a ram and the titties of a normal, quite busty, if not augmented lady, and she has a tail, which I don't know. You could probably grow to love, because it probably has some features that might come in handy during certain activities, but I'll leave that to the imagination. So now we have to talk to, is it Elias? I can't quite read it. It's a crazy elvish name. Because apparently this is not quite as cut and dried as they made it out to be. And did you see this bullshit? It would not let me get out. Oh, I always run into similar problems like that, and we get a nice little mid-level load / checkpoint. So I just double-checked then to see if it had overwrited it, because right now I'm flying blind, guys. I'd never done this side quest at this point. So we're going to go back to Vergen to talk to this guy, and it's essentially going to be a he says, she says, and it all depends on who you believe. Because the succubus is being blamed for the death of the young men, and this Elias guy is blaming her for it, whereas she said she's not killed anybody. You might want to talk to this guy. So you have to do a little bit of deductive reasoning and investigatory work. And if you were in the tomb like I was, where I did the transition showing you of using the tweezers to get the piece of metal from the bone, you're going to have the evidence you need to follow the quest the way I'm going to do it. So we talk to this guy, we accuse him of lying, and he tells us to go and talk to, is it Iorveth of the Shoya Tell? So when we go to Iorveth, if you do not have the proof and you did not get the fragment, he will not believe you that you're talking, ill of his troop. But if you have the piece of metal, he'll understand that the evidence is irrefutable, and thus he will allow you to come back to here and get this quest furthered on. And then we can go back to the lady, the succubus crazy ram lady, and depending on how you play it will depend on whether or not you kill her or you get to bang her. So, the choice is yours. I can't remember if you get anything good for doing her aside from the hilarious cutscenes of awesomeness, which are one of my favourite things about this game, and I don't think they're done enough in games, because games are still viewed as products for children, and if you're going to embrace an adult theme, embrace all of it. The biggest problem with Star Trek, The Next Generation, was the fact that they spent all that time on that goddamn ship and not one of them got a single piece of pootie tang. It's just not realistic. There would have been some serious gang raping happening if that was the case. And that's one of the reasons why Firefly was so good, because it didn't have it looking like this crazy, bullshit schoolyard nonsense. They turned it into a legitimately adult setting. The complexities of relationships and what have you. And it made it a better program for it. But here we go. There you go. So now that you've taken the evidence to Iorveth, we get the new quest line to go to talk to the succubus, and I believe we're about to get ambushed by this elf guy. So he's going to try and kill us, and the elves are really fun to fight because they dual wield and they're very fancy. They remind me of the other witches that attack you if you do the roach path, who I don't know why there weren't more enemies like them, because they're super cool to fight. They're a really fun fight, actually. It's a little bit like fighting two fancy Lethos who don't spam Ard and what's that move? Is it Quen? God, he's a douche when he spams that. Which I'm still kind of bitter, believe it or not, about my final video of this guide, because I wanted to get a no damage fight against him, which is really easy to do, aside from once you get the checkpoint on the fight, he gets a cheap hit off on you immediately as the fight begins. Oh, he's such an asshole. But here we go, all the way back down here, and I believe we're going to trigger something.
I'll not be put down like
there we go.
Dog. Fight!
So he wants to fight us, and here he is. So out comes the sword, there goes the lock-on, and we fight. So hit him with the Ard, cruise in for a swing, but don't get it because this big sword doesn't do the dashing stuff that I like. This guy can block as well, so be careful. Yeah, it's super frustrating when you're used to the smaller swords that allow you to do the dance fighting, and then you come back to one of the bigger, more powerful ones that doesn't have the tracking of it. But the thing to remind you of is, this guy is not very difficult, but he really hurts. And he fights with combos that are very quick. If he catches you in them, it can be really daunting and dangerous. But I have the power advantage, so I'm going to run forward, get one hit, 1 to 2 hits, then roll away, and just repeat. Because you'll notice anything more than that, when he recovers, he will block. We break his block with the Ard. And I don't know what he was doing just then. There we go. So, now that he's dead, we can go and talk to the succubus lady, and we can get our reward. I think she gives you something good, guys, so you want to be nice to her if you can. Which you don't really have too much control about. Geralt just kind of breaks her back. Which he does a lot in the books as well. He's quite the promiscuous one, yet the one who he's in love with, even though technically he's not really capable of love. However, he's afflicted by it, because the toxins were supposed to eradicate those kind of emotions, and somehow he still kind of has them. He somehow goes after the biggest bitch in the fiction. And I think I've trimmed this tastefully. There you go, guys. As much as I would like to show you him, you know, knocking her over good and proper, YouTube would probably not enjoy it. And I think this glitched here. You're supposed to be able to see her, I think. I'm not too sure. But there you go. There's the nice experience boost, and I believe there's something good in the chest. You'll notice I'm pissed as well. I don't know what happened there. We must have done, you know, alcohol, opium, God knows what, and had a jolly good session. I think it's in the chest. But you'll have to find out yourself, because that's the end of the mission, folks, and I will see you in whatever one we attempt to tackle next. You take care now.